Isaiah Todd surprised many when he decommitted from Michigan, but after a great season with the G League Ignite team, he is quickly rising up draft boards. This is floor and ceiling. Let's break him down. Isaiah Todd could have played for Michigan, one of the best programs in NCAA college basketball, but instead, he chose to continue his development in the first ever G League Ignite team. Todd's decision to turn down the Wolverines seemed like a risky one, but time has arguably proved him right. Todd has the size of a big in today's NBA at 6'10", although he is a slender 210 pounds. His ability to stretch the floor and shoot the ball at his size is very intriguing. Over the course of the G League bubble, Todd's shooting was one of the Ignite team's best weapons. Like I've been hinting at, Isaiah Todd's shot making is what separates him from other 6'10 forwards. I thought Todd was at his best when he was stretching the floor for the G League Ignite team. At his size, Todd has a fluid, easy jumper. His high release point makes Todd's shot hard to block, and the Ignite team was able to find him repeatedly in spot-up situations to good success. Todd is always prepared to fire away at the basket. He adds value simply by spotting up and staying ready to shoot the ball when it gets to him. However, the Ignite team did not limit Todd to just spotting up. His flashes of shooting are tantalizing, and I think he has true potential to really space the floor, rather than just take the threes that the opposing defense gives him. As I will break down later, Todd was sometimes used as a shooter on the move. That meant running around, catching the ball, and then shooting. If he can make these shots, then Todd's upside becomes a lot bigger. It's hard to stop a 6'10" big who is able to sprint around the floor and smoothly get into his shot. There are also some signs that Todd might eventually be able to create his own offense. His potential, once again, is pushed up if he can be self-sufficient to some extent. Todd generating for himself is still a long ways away most likely. Only 18% of his makes for the G League Ignite team were unassisted. Still, these are the types of flashes that NBA teams can find persuasive, especially at Todd's size. But for all the appetizing scoring potential that Todd shows, the fact remains that it is just potential. He still has to become a better shooter, even if the signs are all there. Todd made 36% of his threes for the Ignite team. That is a pretty good percentage that would rank above a lot of the other prospects around his size, such as Greg Brown, Marcus Bagley, Scotty Barnes, or Isaiah Jackson. However, it is still slightly below the NBA average. Now, that is not worrying given that Todd will only be 19 by the time he is drafted, and he has his entire career ahead of him. However, it is important to not wrongly portray him as a lights-out shooter right now, since he still has room to grow. One particular area where Todd can improve is his shooting on the move. First, let's make it clear though that Todd even having to improve this is a great sign. Most 6'10 forwards won't even be close to having this skill in their toolbox. Like I mentioned, the Ignite team used Todd as a dynamic shooter quite a bit. That means that 1, he was not just a spot-up shooter as I said earlier, and 2, they had great faith in his ability to shoot the basketball. And while that trust in Todd was well-directioned, some of the shots he was given came too early in his development. If Todd cannot set his feet in time or adequately prepare to shoot the ball, that can lead to some ugly misses that are not actually indicative of his ability to stretch the floor. I also want to make clear that Todd's ability to create his own shot is still very much a work in progress. What I wanted to display earlier was that he has shown enough right now to believe that at some point in the future, he has a chance of being able to generate his own shot off the dribble. But right now, Todd cannot be relied on to do that consistently. I don't think that Todd has terrible feel for the game, but his shot selection was definitely improvable at times. It is also true that he is a bit of a black hole on offense. Todd largely looks to get his own shot off no matter what, and he only had 12 assists in his 15 games. That tendency to shoot, coupled with the fact that the shots he took were often quite difficult, meant that Todd struggled with his efficiency, and sometimes took shots that he probably should have turned down. Despite his size at 6'10", Todd is much more a finesse player than he is a bruiser. Right now, he does not enjoy having to bump and wrestle with other players down low. Todd is still really skinny at 210 pounds, meaning that he does not take contact very easily, and more often than not, he cannot gain or establish deep position in the post. It does not matter that Todd is 6'10 and skilled if he cannot get to his spots. Even if most NBA teams do not just toss the ball to their big in the post anymore, and Todd is not necessarily that type of player, putting on some muscle would allow him to punish mismatches, bang with other bigs, and give him more ways to score the basketball. Todd's lack of physicality was also apparent on his drives, as he was repeatedly unable to get all the way to the rim. Right now, I think he will be more of an outside-in player rather than inside-out. Despite that, there was one surefire tried-and-true method that Todd employed to get himself buckets down low. Like I said, Todd is not going to bang with his defender in the post for 15 seconds and bully him, but he was able to use his length and shooting all season long to score in the post. Todd has an incredible fadeaway that he uses to great effect. He gets great arc on this shot and has soft, feathery touch when he releases the ball from his hands. If you ask Todd to get you a bucket, this is probably the shot that he will resort to. Over the course of his season for the G League Ignite team, this quickly became his signature move. When he goes full on with the one-legged fadeaway, the best version of Todd's shot resembles Dirk Nowitzki. He even had a game winner with this fadeaway over the course of the season against the Canton Charge. One last thing I want to go back to is Todd's passing. To be clear, this is not something that is truly projectable right now. He did not turn the ball over too much, but that is also partly because Todd never really looked to pass. Still, there were some small glimpses that I think are worth mentioning. Despite Todd averaging under an assist per game, he was capable at times of processing and executing some reads that are not so simple. Most of these were just kicking the ball back out to the three-point line, such as here, but I think some of Todd's best passes this season went without reward. When it comes to defense, Todd still has to undergo a massive learning curve, especially when it comes to the things that 6'10 forwards are counted on to do. For the most part, Todd is a non-factor protecting the rim. He averaged less than 1 block per game for the Ignite team, which accurately reflects his contributions defending the basket. Right now, Todd is not comfortable at all as a rim protector. He is often late rotating, but also lacks that physicality we broke down earlier. The effort is not always there either. Under the basket, Todd is an easy target for centers. Despite his size, he gets bullied defending the post. Because of this and his lack of rim protection, it is hard to envision Todd playing the 5 early on. Him at the center spot would open up lots of possibilities on offense for his team, but that counts for little if Todd's soft defense means that he will get picked on. Todd needs to show that he is able to play diligently on defense and remain locked in. Even if he gives up weight, he has other tools, such as his mobility and athleticism, that give him margin for error. Todd has to stay dialed in on D whenever he's on the court, rather than making avoidable mistakes like not switching on screens, playing with poor effort, or giving up rebounds. If Todd was a passable rim protector like he is on these clips, then his projection on defense would be a lot easier. Right now, he is sort of caught between positions and without a clear fit on this end of the floor. Something that gives me hope though is that Todd did relatively well on switches. That is really important for bigs in the NBA nowadays, and I thought that he held his own when switched onto smaller players. Todd can switch out onto the perimeter and guard outside the paint. In a way, that makes sense given that he has more of a wing skill set rather than that of a true big. Todd is not an insane defender or anything like that, but he has the foot speed and nimbleness to at least keep up with ball handlers and force them into difficult shots. However, I am taking this with a grain of salt before I see how Todd does against quicker, craftier, and more athletic guards in the NBA. But like everything else, Todd needs to show that he can switch on a consistent basis. I'm gonna go ahead right now and bet that yes, eventually he will be able to do this at a good level. It seems to me like his mistakes mostly go back to positioning, which is fixable rather than athleticism and lateral quickness. But again, Todd has to stay engaged and not let his effort waver. The appeal with Isaiah Todd is obvious. He is a 6'10 big who can really shoot the ball, and his percentages reflected as much this season, even if he still has some room to grow. The thing is, there are not many 6'10 guys who can shoot the ball potentially, spotting up, on the move, or getting their own shot off the dribble. Todd is very impressive for what he does, and in my eyes, if he played in college, he would be getting a lot more buzz. However, it is definitely true that once you take away Todd's shot, then he does not have a whole lot to fall back on. He can't drive because he isn't physical enough, and in the post, he only has his fadeaway. Which sure, it looked great in the G League, but if you take that away, then what else can he really do? Like I covered for a brief minute in the video, Todd showed some flashes that maybe at some point he will be able to pass the ball. But right now, he is mostly a non-passer and very much a score-first player. And on the defensive end, we go back to the same problem, which is that because our sample size with Todd is so small, we're not really sure what he can do or where best to put him on that end of the floor. Right now, I think that Todd is kind of caught between positions, because ideally you would want him to be able to play the 5, but I think that is still a long ways away. If Todd was a true viable prospect at the center spot, then his upside would be considerably higher. Still, I'm inclined to take a gamble on Isaiah Todd, because if Darius Bazley went late in the first round, then I see no reason why it should not be the same for Todd. If everything pans out, then he is potentially a first round steal. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a comment down there telling me what you think of Isaiah Todd, and if you enjoy the channel, if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.